So, Church tells us to pray for those who persecute us, forgive those who insult us or harass us, and to love your enemy. So, Stephen Newton, you guys remember Stephen Newton? Sent me a video, or sent me a message, and told me to check out a video. And it was, he sent something very strange. He's been acting polite to me. Okay. And I make this video in love because I am concerned for him and people like him. People who rush to judgment. I don't think he'd deny that criticism. This is constructive, or people who jump on bandwagons, or people who are ignorant of topics and follow trends and things like that. And there's different stupidity and ignorance. Ignorance is just not knowing. Well, I think everybody knows the difference between ignorance and stupidity, right? So I'm going to respond to this video for you, Stephen, but I want anybody who sees this video to check this out, because this really is amazing. I got 10 minutes into it, and I had to stop just to address this much of it. So the video claims, okay, the video is about, did the Vatican create Islam? In the video, certain claims are made, and maybe I should just go by direct wording. This is the most fantastic of the claim, but anyway, I'll just start out, try to do it chronologically from what I remember of the most major points in here. And this is the first, this is just from the first 10 minutes of the video, titled, "Did the Vatican create Islam?" ? And it's done by endtimes777. And it said that the Jews and the pagan Romans conspired to kill Christ. True. And they did. And that Christ predicted the destruction of the temple. That happened. And the temple was destroyed in AD 70. That's true. After the Jewish revolt. And then it said, as the Roman Empire was about to collapse, and it had to make its move, because Christianity was winning by laying down the life of so many martyrs, something like that. So they conspired to create a new false religion, and they started with what's called the early church fathers. To fight true Christianity. So, I mean, which church fathers are we talking about? Are we talking about people who knew Jesus and the apostles? Let's just pick some of the earliest ones. Ignatius of Antioch, Polycarp of Smyrna, and Papias, who all laid down their lives. They were students of John. They were taught by the Apostle John. Ignatius of Antioch was sentenced to death by being torn apart by lions, and the Christians collected a ransom to get him out of jail, to pay off the Romans, because he was so valuable was a great spiritual leader for the people, and he knew. I mean, this is somebody who still had the voices of the apostles ringing in his ears. This is somebody who Christ actually held when he was a child. He said, "No, don't give that money to the evil Roman Empire. You give that money to the poor and to help the church." And he would not deny Christ. He would not give up his faith, and he was shredded by lions, torn apart. We still have 7 of his letters today. Polycarp was burned to death for not rejecting Christ. Papias was beheaded. Now, Christianity had spread to the major centers. This is the major, what are called sees, where, of course, where major Jewish populations were. Antioch, Alexandria, and Rome. And of course, they were in Jerusalem. Paul wrote a letter to the Romans. Clement knew Rome, knew Paul. We still have one of Clement's letters. Clement was beheaded for the sake of Christ. And continually, the church father, what gets called the early church fathers, we have people like Cyprian that speak against the Bishop of Rome. Tertullian, who's not technically a church father, speaking against the authority of the Bishop of Rome. And we have Irenaeus of Lyon, who contends with the Bishop of Rome. The early church fathers deplored idols. Justin Martyr argued against paganism. They contended with paganism and Judaism, and they gave up their lives in horrid ways. So these early church fathers, this is where we actually get the works of the New Testament. They're the ones that Irenaeus names the 4 Gospels as being, these are the ones you can trust, don't trust the other ones. And he argued against false Christianities like Valentinianism. And the other church fathers are against Valentinianism, Manichaeism, Basilidianism, the Judaizers. Paul actually begins the argument against the Judaizers, the followers of Cerinthus, all these false types of Christianity, right? The Marcionites, Tertullian, I believe, Marcionites, but so does Irenaeus of Lyon. Papias mentions that Peter helped write Mark, or was a main source for Mark. It was teachings of Peter, or the account of Peter that was was where they got the information for Mark. So this person, endtimes777, who made this video, so they're that's false Christianity, right? So the New Testament that's in this King James Bible is the false. This is the false Christianity, right? So the true one would either have to be Marcionism, or Basilidianism, or some type of Gnosticism, or Marcionism, or some type of Judaized Christianity like the Ebionites or the Nazarenes, or maybe a blend like the Manichaeans. Because if you're saying they invented a false Christianity, these men were arguing against the false Christians for the canonical Gospels and for works like the Acts of the Apostles. So John, the Gospel of John, Gospel of Luke, Gospel of Matthew, the Gospel of Mark, these must be the false Gospels then, right? Because these men, the church fathers, or you didn't read the church fathers. Not to mention they're constantly quoting from Paul. We can reconstruct the entire New Testament from their works alone. Second thing, it says Rome wanted the Pope wanted to take Jerusalem. Well, in 410, the Vandals sacked Rome. Or the Western Roman Empire became. Constantine legalized Christianity in 313. Convened the Council of Nicaea to say, well, what is Christianity? Because there's this infighting that's going on. And Arius said, Jesus is not God. He's a created being, but he's not one with the Father. And Athanasius and Alexander said, yes, he was. So you had Arianism and Catholicism. Now again, Catholicism, if you think Catholicism means Pope with the hat and all this stuff, you might not know how to speak it. Like, you might not know how to walk and Qigong. This is for anybody who doesn't know. Most of these church fathers lived immediately after the life of Jesus, and they were martyred. So the collapse of Western Rome wasn't until 497, but it became very impotent after 410. And then it in the East, after the pagans got power, because Diocletian had this horrible persecution of Christians just before Constantine. That's why Constantine legalized it. Constantine's great-great-great-grandson reverted to paganism, started persecuting the Christian. His name was Julian the Apostate. After he was killed in battle with the Persians, the Eastern Roman Empire, the Roman Empire at the time, now known to us as the Byzantines, although it's the same Roman Empire, said, that's it, screw it. Paganism is not legal, and it's not allowed. We're outlawing it. And that was under Theodosius. It says in the video, in this conspiracy theory, that Augustine became Bishop of North Africa. Now, you know I speak against Augustine continually. He's the father of many Western heresies. Became Bishop of North Africa, and he was effective in winning Arabs to Roman Catholicism, including whole tribes. And among the Arab converts to Roman Catholicism, that the concept